Good morning. Hi. I'm Gina Norstead, President of the Board of Trustees. I need a cheering squad of Don. He's just the best. Thank you all for coming. This is an informational meeting for everyone. During the annual meeting, the board made the promise to look at the budget and do what we could to address the deficit. And this is our response back. We had a survey, we had listening circles, facilitated listening circles. People from those listening circles were voluntold, in most cases, to take the suggestions that were made during the survey and the listening circles and to synthesize them into something that the board could vote on and address, incorporating all of your suggestions. I really want to thank everyone who participated in any form of that, whether you were able to go to a listening circle, do a survey, or one of the many synthesizers who did quite a bit of work for this. Thank you. The board got the proposal at the October board meeting. We held an executive meeting at another time to be able to discuss and look at them and make some decisions. We have done that, and now we are here presenting this to you. I'd like to turn it over to Joe, our treasurer. He's the numbers dude, so not me. Sir.
Mike? Yeah. There we are, okay, all right. Just to add on to what Gina said, I want to thank the congregation as a whole for the work you folks have done in pulling all of this together through listening circles and the synthesizers. I mean, the amount of effort that went into this is absolutely stunning. So I'm pleased to present the results of that as presented to the board today. First slide. So this is the budget proposal that came from the synthesizers. There was actually two parts. This is part one, which deals specifically with the budget. These are immediate steps to bring our expenses in line. And the recommendations are based upon all the listening circles and the surveys and then the work that the synthesizers did in building a strategy. So the list of proposed reductions for the current church year are there were 3 months where we had no minister, so we're not paying for a minister for 3 months, so that is a reduction. The music director was replaced by an accompanist. The RE director to be reduced to half-time starting in January. The music budget being eliminated, and the worship speakers reduced. So what does this budget now look like? And as a precursor, I'm not going to put you through an eye test today. Okay, so we're not going to go line by line through the budget. We're going to go through where the changes occurred and how that affects the bottom line. Okay, next slide. So on the income budget, there's no change. The income slide is the same, $370,110 versus $370,231. Remember, that number's not correct. Okay. It should be 323 on both of those. My mistake. But that hasn't changed from the original budget. Next slide. So this is the new staff expense budget changes. This reflects 9 months of ministerial payroll versus a full year. You know, I'm just thinking now. The other income slide is right. I'm thinking pledges versus total income. The total income slide is right. I have to stop double thinking myself. I've been through this a bazillion times. There's a one-time cost of interim training that goes to the UUA, which is $1,500. Elimination of the music director payroll. It still captures a small amount paid out in July to Carolyn Bierke. So we're reducing it from 35,548 to 6,900, approximately 6,908.95. We're adding a musical accompanist for $5,400, and I just ran that out through the end of the year. Not this year, but the fiscal year. So that's what that number looks like. And then the reduction of the RE directed to halftime starting January 1st from 91,138 to 68,353.50. So you can see the old budget was 350,629. The new one is 279,071 with a reduction of $71,558. Next slide. This is the non-operating expenses that were changed. We removed $3,000 from the worship committee for speakers. We removed $6,000 from the UUA program. And we eliminated the music budget, which amounts to a savings of $4,275 for a total of $13,275 in reduction. Next slide. So this is the bottom line. The old 25-26 budget was a negative $111,952. The new 2025-26 budget has a negative now of $27,119, which shows an improvement of $84,833. And you all need to applaud yourselves for this work. This is amazing. Now, in addition to this, you're looking at a negative $27,119. There's a little bit of good news that I want to give you beyond this, and that is when we set the budget for the auction, that budget was set at $20,000. The auction has brought in $34,000. That, we want to talk about miracles this morning? That's a miracle right there, if I've ever seen one. That is a miracle.
That's a lot of hard work.
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah. And in addition to that, on Friday I went to our LPL investment account, and our earnings for this year were over $26,000. That number will be realized in the P&L budget at the end of December. That or something close to it, I think, because we still got another 6 weeks to go. Those two numbers combined actually not only balance the budget, we end up with a positive, which I'm very pleased to report. Now the cautionary tale, because there always has to be a cautionary tale. When we're working on putting together a budget for next year, we do not have the luxury of having 3 months of no ministerial pay. So we're going to have to become a little more creative on the income side in realizing what those numbers are going to look like. And I know that I've heard some very intelligent plans about how we might raise some of that money. So TBD, to be continued, and we'll see what happens there. But at this point, does anybody have any questions? Ruth?
Just curious, Lily is going to half-time, but yet she dropped from like 92,000 to 68,000. That's not even close to half.
Because you've got pension and everything else involved as well.
But
It starts in January. It's not half of the whole year. It's half beginning in January.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, Joe, I was curious about the reduction to the UUA of $6,000. What is that?
Yeah, Gina can probably address that better than I can.
So the synthesizers, we're working with the assumption if our budget is reduced, what we owe the UUA is reduced too. That is accurate, but it is in the next year. So our budget, our dues for the UUA this year are based on last year's budget. That was not the assumption they were working with. The board still accepted that because we have a huge deficit this year. So we are going to reduce our UUA's dues that would be for last year's budget. We're going to reduce them this year. Okay. Jeanette, and I know I saw other arms. Okay, Jeanette, Cheryl, and then Xenia.
Yeah, just wanted to find out if you have scheduled yet a date to review how this is going within 6 months, 8 months, or something like that. Do you have you scheduled a date yet? And if not, I highly encourage you to do so, because this is ongoing.
Joe has usually been giving budgetary reviews before a quarterly. We didn't do one this year, this last quarter. So this is kind of more the quarter review.
Usually, there's typically a mid-year review that happens around the first or second week in February, which I think would give us enough time to at least get a feel for how things are going. I do want to address one other thing that is a very positive. Last year, because of the lack of income on the income side, we had to pull out $30,000 from our investments in January, March, and May. Since July 1st, I have not had to go there again, which means our pledges are coming in, they're being maintained, even all the way through the end of I think the last report I got was September. We're still on budget, if not, in fact, a little bit ahead of budget on pledges. So, and right now, as of Friday, we have almost 2 months' worth of income stashed in our checking account, which is the healthiest I've seen it in about year and a half. So, yeah, in Kingsley, yeah, sure. Who else was next?
Sorry. That was also because we weren't paying a minister for 3 months at the beginning of the year. So that also helped us catch up a little bit. Let's see, it was Cheryl and then Xenia? Okay. Xenia and then,
So I was just curious if you could let us know, has Lily agreed to stay on with us even though she'd be half-time and a reduction in pay?
there was a delay in when the board made this decision and when we're announcing it. And we did that so that we could speak with Lily. We had talked to her, David Hinkle and I had talked to her prior to the board getting this because we knew what was coming. And then once the board approved it, Pastor Eric and I sat down and talked to her a week or two ago. I don't know, time goes together. She will be staying for the foreseeable future. We do not know how long that will be. She needs to she needs to do what she needs to do. I don't know if she will be beginning to look for a new job. Maybe look into sharing with another congregation that can bring her some full-time hours. She is a professional. She's not rage quitting. She's not. She hasn't let us know if she will be leaving after the first of the year. These are a lot's up in the air. So.
Who's next?
Cheryl. Yeah.
Okay, since Lily was hired as Director of Family Ministry, does that mean that's no longer the same position? And then secondly, who's in charge when she's not here? And thirdly, we're not spring chickens teaching. We've been teaching for like 15 years. What if one of us is sick? What happens then?
Lily still has the same title. She and Pastor Eric over the next couple months will be looking at her job description and what can be done with reduced hours. Second question, who's in charge when she's not here? Is that? Okay. We are also working on reinstituting, revamping, reconstituting our RE Family Ministry Committee. this needs to be done whether we were changing her position or not. You can't have one person be responsible for all of family ministry, RE, whatever name it goes by. This is currently being done, and we are looking to add more people to this. We are also looking to add more people who are willing to be teachers. You guys have been doing this for a long time, since Robbie was itty bitty. Cheryl, you and Lori were his first teachers here. This is something that does need to be shared with the greater congregation. And I'm hoping that people will step up to this. This is a high priority for the board, for Pastor Eric, and, for myself and Lily. Okay? Was that all 3 questions? Okay. Celia.
I was just thinking that if Lily does decide to find another job, we are still looking at having a half-time religious education. I know that's not the right word any longer, but there will be somebody here. I'm assuming that it will be most Sundays so that the RE teachers are not going to be left all alone there in their rooms and, oh my God. So I think that we are planning on being fully staffed, or at least staffed during Sundays.
Yes. Are there any questions from Zoom, Brian?
Not as yet.
Okay. Oh. One more here.
Okay, so with the change from the music director position to now having an accompanist, what is the $4,000 reduction in the music budget? What is-
That is actually the music that Carolyn would buy that the choir and she used to play. The choir has agreed to buy their own music, was what I was told. So that is being taken off the budget because we're not supplying that. That's a this year thing. We can look at what it means next year too. We're not looking at next year's budget yet. There was another question too. Let's go, Dawn.
Because I'm right here. Well, what about next year? What's going on with next year?
That's not a today problem, Todd. Yes, the board will be looking at next year's budget. We'll be looking at what things might need to change. We will have a fully staffed minister for all 12 months. That's going to be a big change. And we'll see what we're doing. We're looking at a lot on the income side as well. And I can talk about that too if we're at that point. Are there any other questions about this? I thought I saw another hand.
Susan, did you have a question?
Mike, please. We do have people on Zoom, and this will be posted with a link to YouTube, so we would like everybody to be able to hear the comments and questions.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment. Sue went through all the music that's available, and we have like about 18 pieces we can look at for the next year, and people are bringing all their own music in, and so we have plenty of music for this next year. Yeah.
Thank you. Kitty, Kitty here has her hand up.
I didn't see anything regarding staffing for RE, so the funds that had been used to pay Morgan in the past are still intact?
Yes. Yes. All of our other staff positions are remaining the same. The responses from the listening circle was that a full-time minister was very important. The other staff that we have, also that administrator was very important. The other staff we have are like 3 hours a week-ish. And if we eliminated all of that, it wouldn't add up to much. So we left those positions as they are. So we will still have Morgan when she's available to come in for RE too, as an aide. I don't think she's here every week though. So, yeah. Yeah, the only things that were reduced were the things that were listed on the slide. Everything else in the budget stays the same. The incomes did not touch, it stays the same. All the other expenses are what they were when y'all voted for them in May. Yes.
On a different topic, we had, you had synthesizers dealing with the crisis. We had also had wide-ranging ideas of like, the way that we create our budget is wacky. People just decide, I want $5,000 for my team, and exploring the idea that that might be adapted in the future. Is that still on the horizon, or is that something still in play now?
Yes. Do you have anything else to add on the numbers?
I'm good with the numbers. Are there any more questions about the budgetary numbers? Because she's going to speak about what we call part 2. Sorry. Does anybody have any more questions about the numbers, the budget numbers?
I have a
Because
question.
Gina's going to address what we call part 2 that came from the synthesizers.
I have a question on Zoom.
Okay.
We have I don't know if can you guys hear the person on Zoom? Chris and Jay? Do you hear them? I guess not. I will give her the question.
I didn't.
Chris and Jay asked, when we call a minister, will the cost be a lot more than for Pastor Eric?
Let me make sure I heard that. When we call a minister, will the cost be more than what we're paying for Pastor Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Probably. The cost for employees goes up mostly every year. So what we call or hire in a couple of years is going to probably be more than what we do now. The advice from the UUA, Reverend Dana, and others is that we hit the mid-range for that point. That is what we are paying Pastor Eric. There's a range. The UUA sets up a range for different types of jobs of pay and bases it on different geographic regions. We're not the highest, we're in one of the highest though. So our current pay for Pastor Eric is the mid-range of that point. When we call a minister, a settled minister, it will probably start at the mid-range of that point, whatever that number is. My assumption is it will be more than what it is today because life. So, Rita has a question.
So I heard something, and I just want to get more information about it, which is that I was told by someone that Eric and the contract position is a kind of a unique, because if we like Eric and we want to keep Eric, that we don't have to go through the whole settled minister process.
Per the UUA rules, an interim minister may not apply for the settled minister's position. They're just there to be the buffer between the previous called minister and the next one. Contract ministers, as he is, do not have that rule. Because we were unable to get matched with an interim minister, he is kind of working as our contract minister. He would like to be our called minister. He's local. So far, he really likes us. There are some requirements, though. Our bylaws state that a called minister, settled minister, has to be fully fellowshipped with the UUA. Pastor Eric is not yet fully fellowshipped. That's a 3-year process. We currently have an assumption of a contract for 2 years. The board hires a contract minister. The congregation calls a settled minister. Some churches do a contract to call where the board hires a contract minister and then converts them to a settled minister. That is not something I want, it's not a road I want to go by because it would eliminate your input. So it's not a board decision if we hire Eric as our settled minister, if and when he's able to meet the requirements. That's a y'all decision, and whoever is on that search committee. We'll be looking into this more and talking more about it probably at the annual meeting, because then we'll need to start looking at what our search options are for the next phase of our church. But that's up to you guys. I don't want to be on that team. So, anything else? If you have, okay, that's where we're getting to. And if you all think of anything else regarding the numbers, I can pull him back in. So, part 2. There was a lot in the survey responses during the listening circles, as well as the what next box that was out for suggestions. Those suggestions were really good and very much all over the place. So the board has kind of, will be taking this back to the synthesizers. Kathy Swift is going to be a liaison for the board and the synthesizers on that, to kind of narrow down what we can do, what we can't. Some of them are amazing, some of them are contradictory, some of them would get us to lose our tax exempt status for property tax. And, you know, so they're kind of all over the place. So we'll be looking at those. Some of them have to do with specific groups and committees. Some of them may end up being board decisions. We're just not quite there yet. If you're interested in helping with that, let me know. So the board did not accept any of them. We just are looking at them further, is where we are. So that's what we have for that. I don't have anything definitive. Jeanette.
Yeah, my request is that in sending it back to the synthesizers or whatever other group takes on working with it, that the board go through with its knowledge of what would make us illegal and draw some lines through it and write in the margin why this is not something that we can do. We need that information.
Okay, will do.
I wish we'd had it ahead of time.
Will do. Back here.
I hope that this is appropriate at this time. The greatest, I guess, income for any congregation are the congregants, based on pledges. What are we doing to enhance the number of congregants we have and take care of attrition because people don't move or pass on? So is there a program for doing that?
Not specifically, no. We do have, we're looking at other committees and teams. We're looking at ways to make sure to touch people. We had a third member pledge drive. We still have a third of the members to go through next year. We will still be doing that. Now that we have a pastor on board, he'll be working with membership more to reach out to people who haven't come in a while to see if they need pastoral care, if there's anything the church can do for them. I don't personally see members as income. Yes, your pledges do the lion's share of the financial support for our church. We are a church. We're not a club. We do not charge dues. We do not require tithing. That's not our religion. We want members to be here because they feel fulfilled and they can help contribute, not just financially, but it's the time, the talent, and the treasure as well. So, Ruth, and I think you had a follow-up? Okay.
So this is related. So for those that don't know, we do have a membership ministry. Amy, Martha, and I are on that. With the greeters, when somebody new comes in, they encourage them to sign the visitor's log. That log is online. When I get ready to do a new to UU class, we send a personal invite to everybody on that list to ask if they want to come into the class. We do 2 classes and we do a path to membership. And I send out emails personally inviting anybody that has indicated they want to become a member to come to the path to membership. So there is some effort going on, and I just want to let everybody know that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for saying what you just did, because that's what I was talking about. I was talking about new members.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know this isn't a business. I know it's a church. And I understand, but I'll speak for myself. I knew very little about UU until I got here. And now I love the place. And it's really nice to have this message get out into the public, because there are many people like me who really know so very little about this place. But once you get involved with it, you become involved, at least as a congregant. And we bring money into the place. I'm not saying we're doing it because we're giving money. We're doing it because we love it. But I think it's important that we somehow get the message out. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Reverend Dana and I talked about this a number of times. I kind of see it as a 3-pronged stool. Publicity. Publicity is for our own members, let them know what's going on. It's also outreach. It's the pride events that we go to. It's social media. It's things like that. We could use more help on publicity, folks, please. Come see me. The second is the membership team. Greeting people when they come, introducing them to other people, inviting them to the new member classes if that is something they want to do. The third is getting them involved with the congregation, whether it's linking them with a committee that they want to work on, a group they want to be a part of, a men's or a women's group. Those are the 3 things that we're really concentrating on that. So it's not something that we're ignoring. Thank you. There was David?
I will face you. It's a habit of being a teacher, even though I haven't left that. I was reminded as I sat through this meeting of how anxious I was at the last financial meeting. I could hardly stay away from the microphone. And my response today is something I remember from the first Women's March. And it's a call and response, and it's a call and response. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like when it's functioning for the benefit of the participants. Really, it really feels good. Thank you, everyone who responded to this. The process worked.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Jim.
Thank you. You did, when you were answering the question about how are we going to try to bring in new people, and I like the way that you listed the things that we do that are out in the community. We used to have a lot more highly visible activities in the community than we have for a while, and I think that that's something that, you know, as we settled in and settle down, we may be able to do that as well, because that catches people's eyes. The other thing, just, you know, you rightly pointed out that we are not among those types of faith communities that require tithing. And I just want to remind everybody of Tom Berg's response to that, which is, if people don't want to give 10%, fine, they can give 11.
I never had the pleasure of meeting Tom Berg. He sounds like somebody I would like. Thank you. Jeanette.
Okay, I have a request.
Okay.
Since part 2 is going to come back to the synthesizers, And hopefully already with your notations in there, so we don't waste time on this stuff that we couldn't the ones that maybe we couldn't do because maybe it costs too much should just be future possible, present impossible or something. But there are some that we shouldn't be including. And once we have that, then I would like to know if you would be willing, because the congregation worked so hard on this, and it has categories that help us think about, we need a worship committee, we need this kind of circle over here that deals with this. This is empty, this only has one thing. Would you be willing to publish that so that people can see what's in it? And maybe they might want to join the synthesizers to think about how to creatively deal with all of that. That would be wonderful.
Yes. Short answer, yes. We have plans to make everything available to anyone who wants to dig through it. The comments from the listening circles, the survey results, and the comments that were put in the box will be published and available to everybody. I don't know if that will be today, tomorrow, but it'll probably be this week. And I'll be sending out an email with links to where they can get that. Aaron, and then I think Kitty, did you have a question first?
In regards to publishing those comments, do you think we would be able to annotate the physically impossible, fiscally impossible ones before sending those out, or do we just want to send them out raw?
I don't know. Annotate them. I'll see what I can do. That might delay their reply. Okay. Kitty?
A suggestion for down the road, and I'm happy to help work with this. You may remember last year we had a program fair or something like that where we publicized things. I'd propose that we put something like that together, but more focusing on these things that we really want to revive, strengthen, renew, and create a program fair around those actions.
Thank you. It's a good suggestion. Terry?
Thanks for the comment. First of all, I liked how Reverend Dana put it. When we have a new member, don't look at them as a wallet. I liked that comment. But my comment is, when we get a new member, I think of them, what do you want to call them, new blood? New members, new ideas. When they do become a new member, do we ask them as fully as we could, what are your expectations and what do you want out of us? And do you have any additions to our activities that might, maybe they sit in the back row because we're new, okay? They are new. Do we do as good a job as we could as saying, what are your expectations?
That's a question I cannot answer. Is that something you can address, Ruth, in the new member meetings?
We have not, we actually haven't had a meeting, and we're going to have a meeting soon, but we haven't discussed that. But one of the things that I want to just suggest to everybody, if you don't know, it sounds weird, but we have a badge system. If somebody is wearing a red badge, they're brand new. It's their first time in the door. If they're wearing the white badges with their names on it, that means they've been here a few times. Keep an eye out for those. If you see somebody with a red badge, go up and just say, hi, welcome, what brought you here? You know, can I go help you show you where to get you some coffee or some tea or something like that? Just, I mean, we don't want to overwhelm them, and I've actually kind of thought about a program of having like an assigned person to look out for that Sunday and go and just personally go up and say hello. And, you know, because I don't want 15 people coming up and saying, oh, hi, how are you, what you doing? But I try to do that when I see new people, and since I've been emailing some of these people, they've said, well, I'll look for you at Sunday, or I say I'm always there, so look for me, and I actually sat down with somebody today, and so just, it's something everybody can do, and I think we've got a program that we can do more. I'm sorry, there's more that I think we can do more, getting everybody involved. It's really simple. If nothing else, it's just go up and say, hi, it's great to see you here. Something like that.
And I want to reiterate, I don't think the comment was that new members are wallets. But when we have new members, they're not always able to pledge what we think, what would help keep the church running. I would not want to turn somebody away from membership because they didn't have the funds. So that was my point, not that we're looking at new members as, cool, you can help support us financially. I want to make that clear. Yes, Jude.
Luckily, I have the microphone, so I'll go next.
Yes.
First of all, I wanted to say, this right here is what I appreciate about this community. So many good ideas, so many good suggestions. We're putting our heads together, and we're better together than singly. That being said, I really like Jeanette's comments all just resonated with me, that all of the comments and questions that came out in those listening circles, I really want the answers to be annotated to let us know what's possible, what's impossible, why it's impossible. But I'd like those impossibilities to not be edited out, because they may prime the pump to help us think of other suggestions that are within our legalities and our ethics, just so that we know, if we know why it's illegal, maybe we can figure out another way to incorporate that.
Yeah. No, I had no intentions of actually removing anything.
Okay, thank you.
Jeanette, did you have another? Okay. Anything else? Anything else on Zoom, Brian?
Nope.
Thank you. If we're complete, we can adjourn this meeting. I thank you all for coming. If there is something in the future that comes up or you didn't ask, I'm here most every Sunday. Please pull me aside, talk to me. I'll be happy to talk to anybody about anything about our church. I love this church, and I know all of you do here because you're giving up time to be here, and I appreciate that. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.